Hi, this is Togrim. I've been getting requests for my hotkey and movement setup, so I put together this video as a guide, and I'm going to talk about what strafing should look like and how to execute strafing. I'm using Riftblade Warrior as an example, but these concepts are really transferable to any class that has kiting mechanics. So I open up on this target from range, apply a range snare, and you can see that I'm strafing away from my target on both sides. I'm constantly flipping my hips, and by strafing I keep my target in a forward facing where I can launch attacks, and I finish them off from range. You can also strafe multiple targets, so I go ahead and aggro a pack of mobs here, and I use my AoE snare, root one target, and then keep the other target, single target snared. And when the back target breaks from its root, I go ahead and switch over to it and apply a stun right there. So I'm working here in a large oval just to show you can do this in a fairly compact space as well. So I kill the second mob, and then the third mob here I root and then finish him off. Strafe kiting is really important in PvP. Here I'm getting hit focus fire by about 4 or 5 opponents, and I'm strafing away, therefore maintaining my forward facing, so I'm able to block and parry, and I am mitigating and avoiding a lot of damage by doing so. It's important never to just turn around and run away and give up your back. So that was strafe kiting or kite strafing. The other important concept is melee strafing or circle strafing, which is simply running circles around your target. Now the big reason for doing this is you want to break the line of sight of your target or get out of its line of sight. In Rift, if you are in line of sight of a character, they can cast a spell on you and finish it even if you break line of sight. So usually I try to stay at the opponent's back like this, and when you're at your target's back, you have the additional benefit of removing their avoidance and mitigation, or at least lowering it. So here are these concepts applied in combat. I'm circle strafing 2 rogues until I can burn one of them down, then I root the second rogue, strafe kite away, apply dot from range, and then burn him down. And once he ports, I'm able to use my camera look really quickly to see where I went. Now, let me distinguish between two things. What I recommend and then what I personally do. What I recommend is you consider using your right hand on the mouse to move. So for example, if you push the right mouse button, you can character turn very quickly. This is a great way to keep targets in front of you. The other thing you can do if you have your hand on the mouse, if you click the left mouse button, you can rotate your camera so you can see what's going around you without changing your character facing. If you want to move with your hand on the mouse, you simply hold down both mouse buttons, and then you can turn the mouse from side to side, and that'll change your direction. And you can take these concepts and combine them with strafing. So here, for example, this is strafe left, character turn to the right to do a clockwise circle strafe, and then strafe right, character turn left to do a counterclockwise circle strafe. You can combine these as well. You know, if you have both mouse buttons depressed and you're moving, you can also use the strafe key, so you can zigzag here. And then, if you further combine these, you can get some really snappy movement around targets. And if you watch my videos, you'll see this a lot. It's really key to get behind targets. Let's talk about hotkey setup. This is a very subjective topic, but there are several things that I recommend. The first is that you use this real estate shown here, these gray keys around your left hand, for ability uses, not for bringing up things like character panels and menus, etc. So change your default key bindings so that you can use abilities. And for strafing, what I recommend is that you use your ring finger for left strafe, your right finger for right strafe, because it's natural and intuitive. And looking at CCs, you should keep them on separate keybinds, separate macros as much as possible. I have seen other players combining crowd control abilities into the same macro, and that's a big no-no because you lose a lot of control and flexibility. You can see here I've got my interrupt map to Q, which I just tap with my pinky, S to snare, D for silence, F for root. And for the damage abilities, those are mostly mapped to 1 through 5, and then the T key. I do find that activating abilities with my middle finger and then my index finger tends to be most comfortable, so my most frequently used abilities I map to, for example, the 3 key and the 4 key. And looking at the healing and defensive abilities, I use G for guard, H for heal, B for bubble, And then the middle mouse button I have mapped to my CC breaker, and conceptually this goes along with the theme that the right hand on the mouse is used for controlling or maintaining movement. So hopefully these are some suggestions that ways of thinking about it that will be helpful for you. Please don't post your particular key bindings and ask me for feedback. It's kind of a fruitless exercise because key bindings are very subjective. I did outline the principles for setting up key bindings in a way which I think makes sense. Also, I do want to stress that if you're going to make significant changes to your key bindings, make sure to practice them in a controlled environment first. So practice them on a target dummy in your capital city, practice them on mobs, practice them on your friends in duels. Don't make a bunch of changes to your key binding setup and then queue up for a battleground or warfront and expect to do well, because you'll find yourself very frustrated because you can't remember or activate the abilities the way that you're used to. So practice it first, get the muscle memory down, iterate, and then once you feel comfortable, then queue